Keep up with me! Bet you can't keep up with me!
Wind blade!
I'll race you there! I'll race you there! Bet you can't keep up with me! keep up with me! I'll race you there!